You've got a pretty young bunch. You don't have the numbers you probably would like to have, which is not always unusual for spring practice. With all that taken into consideration, how do you feel about where your group is?
I tell you what, I've had honestly a Saturday might have been one of the cleaner practices we've had in a year and a half. But we're really young, and it's fun because like they're even come out every day. I don't think they really know what tired's supposed to feel like. I don't think they know like what an end of spring ball feels like. So they're just hungry every day to come. Like, okay, what am I learning today? And our one-on-one meetings or our stuff when they stop in and ask questions, they're like digging it. It's like they're all panicking to stay up, which is really good. Sometimes you get older guys in spring ball, and it's like, here we go, I know it, coach. And so it's been really fun to coach those guys. They're humming right now.
You're not going to be very experienced at left tackle. How do you feel about the couple of guys that have been manning that position for you in the spring?
Well, I think the young guys that have played it this spring have done awesome, and to pick it up, I think the assignments are sometimes easier on the outside. You got to see a little bit more than the inside, understand how much leverage and angles are part of it. But it's been good cross training for Pitch and for Gunner and the guys that have slid out there and played. And you got the high school early enrollees. Siegel stepped in and really helped us feel. He's getting a lot more reps than most high school early enrollees, which he's taken at 100 miles an hour. But we'll get we got a couple of our injured guys that'll be back. And then it's, they know the guys in the room know we're going to try and add a couple also.
You went through a lot last August when you're switching coordinators in the middle of fall camp, and sometimes a new coordinator comes in, has different expectations, has different implications for your guys. How has that change affected your group, and maybe what's different now that you've had a few months to get used to that?
Well, I think, and what's funny is, David, Joey, and those guys, they both kind of have the same expectations in what they see in the offensive line, and it's interesting just the evolution of both their careers and what they expect up front and what they like. It's my background, so it's been really an easy transition for us. It's been a smooth deal, whether it was back in spring ball, over the summer, into the fall camp, through fall season. It was really, in our room, pretty unnoticeable.
Okay.
You talk about those early enrollees. What's the biggest eye-opener usually for those guys?
I think how fast the game is and then how much goes on the rest of the day. That football, where we have the whole morning is built around it. In high school, it's usually an hour and a half of spring like walkthroughs and maybe a little bit of practice where it gets physical at times. But it's the amount of time put into football at this level. What really a 20-hour week means, what an 8-hour week means outside of spring ball that's committed just to football. And then they still got to get their studies. And the hardest one, anywhere you go in college, the semester's tough because they don't have that onboarding like you do with summer prep.
How much is it, too, about just guys learning how to practice at this level?
It's usually a lot. I've been really impressed with this crew of kids. The guys that early enroll, they love ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they know what they're getting into. Otherwise, it's not a great mix. But so the guys that have come, and it's added some chippiness, and they've added some. There's just a little bit of little confidence there that's good for us right now in how we practice.
What is grease?
Well, grease is what I think of when you see a guy who's been under a car for 8 hours and changing engines, or you see a guy come out of a coal mine. Work all over their face, a little bit of a hard hat, box mentality, and I know this. There's not a lot of engines that can run if they're not greased up and the oil's not fresh. So really, hopefully, we're the group that can provide some consistency here and, get things going every day on a daily basis or week-to-week game basis.
How important is it for you to have Julian? Because he's your center, he's been around, you need experience there. He's seen a lot in the SEC. How much of a luxury is that for you compared to just some past years where before you were here you had to turn over at center every year?
Yeah, I think it's a huge piece in a couple of fronts. Last year was really his first year as a bona fide starter, playing at that position. People forget in fall camp, I had him with the threes. I wanted to kind of see what Warden and Kivo would do because they'd not put in the spotlight. And he just kind of went about his business. And so, Wardo gets hurt, he goes in, and it's untouched from there. And then Ernie and I have kind of built a relationship, and we have a lot in common. We were the guy, you're undersized. Not a lot of people wanted you. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's a really smart football player. So he's taken that leadership role for us of consistency. And, man, you've seen his game, Ashmore's game, even Castillo, but those two older guys have taken a huge step of confidence in the offseason. It's the first time in a long time they've done the same thing for 2 years.
Yeah.
Spring ball's the same drills. The schemes are the same, the calls are the same, and I think that changes the guy's confidence, that consistency.
Thank you.